Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Jordan's King Abdullah II have underscored the importance of preserving Syria's unity and territorial integrity. The two leaders discussed the escalating crisis in Palestine, calling for a Gaza ceasefire and urgent humanitarian aid. They rejected Palestinian displacement and reiterated support for a two-state solution. Talks also addressed the Syrian conflict and Lebanon, with both leaders backing the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701 to ensure regional stability. Israeli warplanes have launched a series of intensive airstrikes targeting military sites in Syria's coastal Tartus region. Reports indicate that the strikes hit air defense units and ground-to-ground missile storage. Syrian media describe them as the heaviest attacks in the region since Israeli airstrikes began in 2012. The recent raids destroyed military equipment and laboratories but did not cause any casualties. Israel has been targeting Syrian military sites for years, claiming its goal is to prevent threats from armed factions. The Syrian Military Operations Command has announced that its leader, Ahmad al-Shara, also known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani, discussed with the UN envoy to Syria, Geir Pedersen, the need to reconsider the 2015 UN Security Council roadmap. Al-Shara emphasized the importance of swift and effective cooperation to address serious challenges with a focus on economic development. He also highlighted the need for caution during the transition phase, ensuring a safe environment for the return of refugees and the preservation of Syria's territorial unity and reconstruction. Egypt has strongly rejected and condemned Israel's decision to expand settlements in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. Egypt's foreign ministry stated that the country views this decision as a blatant violation of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Egypt considers these Israeli plans an unlawful imposition of facts on the ground, reflecting Israel's disregard for achieving a just peace in the region and its ongoing expansionist policies. Egypt calls on international bodies and the UN Security Council to reject these violations and put an end to Israeli settlement activities. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas announced that she has instructed the EU's senior diplomat on Syria to travel to Damascus and engage with the new government. Upon her arrival at an EU foreign ministers meeting in Brussels, Kallas announced that the diplomat would travel to Syria today. She emphasized that the EU would not lift sanctions until Syria's new leadership ensures the protection of minorities and women's rights while maintaining a unified government that rejects extremism.
And I think then we are also open to discuss next steps.
The Kremlin has announced that no final decision has been made regarding Russia's military bases in Syria, despite reports of troop pullbacks in northern Syria and the Alawite Mountains. Russia has reiterated its main bases following al-Assad's fall. Earlier, Russia evacuated diplomats from Damascus along with Belarusian and North Korean personnel using a Russian Air Force flight from Khmeimim Air Base. Britain has announced a £50 million aid package to the people of Syria. In a statement, Britain announced that the aid will provide immediate help to more than 1 million people, including food, shelter, emergency health care, and protection for the most vulnerable.
Syrian-led and a Syrian-owned future, and we want one that is representative and inclusive.
An official at Syria's Latakia port has stated that the main port was operating normally with ships unloading cargo after several days of delay. The Syrian caretaker government completed the cleanup and debris removal from an Israeli airstrike on the port that occurred a few days ago. Israel targeted military infrastructure in Syria, claiming that leftover weapons could pose a threat to Israel from the new Syrian government.
انفجار مستودعات.
United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Thomas Fletcher has arrived in Damascus, where he is expected to meet with officials from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Fletcher stated that the UN aims to facilitate a massive flow of support into Syria to rapidly scale up the delivery of food, medicine and shelter, along with the funds needed to redevelop Syria into a place people can believe in again.
But also the funds to redevelop the Syria that people can believe in again.
Iraq has reopened Al-Qayyum border crossing with Syria, allowing trucks to enter through the border gate for the first time in 10 days. The Iraqi-Syrian border gate of Al-Qayyum had been closed in that direction since the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's government. During that time, Iraqi troops were deployed and travelers were allowed to return to Syria from Iraq, but no movement into Iraq was allowed. Tensions are escalating as Israeli airstrikes on Syria's military infrastructure intensify regional instability and exacerbate the humanitarian crisis.